I'm currently on the phone with Sean. He's another musician that reached out about the current interview session. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sean. I'm with the Violet Ghost, creator, founder. Yeah, my project is kind of synthwave. Call it retro wave. Anything that basically sounds like it was spawned from the '80s. I kind of do, and that's the sound that I am going for, and I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely get into a bit of that. But for the moment, I always like to kind of start at the beginning. So give me some detail about how you kind of first encountered music. What environment were you in when it kind of connected to your personality and made you want to pursue it?
Well, when I was a little kid, like four, I remember as far back as four, I used to jump on the piano. My mom was classically trained, and she was part of the London Royal Conservatory of Music, and so I was always watching her just play the piano, and it fascinated me. And so I started getting into it, plunking around, and then I was classically trained, and then around the same time, I started really getting into movies like Neverending Story, Legend, Blade Runner, and I was like fascinated by the music that was in that ambient kind of polysynth stuff. And so it wasn't until later in life that I figured out that I could what I would need to do to replicate that kind of music. And when I was young, I wanted to, but obviously, when you're 12 years old, you don't really have the financial means to go out and buy a Moog or a synthesizer that costs an arm and a leg. So finally, fast forward excuse me, years later, now I'm able to do that. And that's kind of what I've been doing, is going back and just every little thought or every idea that I had when I was a kid or was inspired to do when I was a kid that I couldn't do, now I'm doing it. And it's been a really fun journey on that. So if I'm coughing and sniffling, I just made myself some really intense desert fire pasta, and hope
Sure.
shit.
So let's back up there a little bit. You mentioned that you were in an environment, you grew up around it with your mother being classically trained and playing piano and everything. We kind of glanced over a little bit there. I believe I got the gist that you also picked up piano by kind of watching her get into it, and that's how you got into it.
Yep, when I was really little, before I was old enough to kind of really, appreciate piano lessons. And boy, my piano instructor, I hated her at the time, because when I was not playing in time, she had this little ruler thing and she'd whip my hand with it. And I thought she was a monster because of that. But now I'm very thankful for that. I'm like very appreciative of it now.
It gave you the physical conditioning that you would be disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
The trauma, it helped me.
So that covered kind of what my next question was going to be in that vein. You also did like private lessons and stuff. You mentioned that you were also kind of influenced about contemporary, scoring of film and things like that. And that kind of informed the way that you wanted to approach writing music.
It definitely did, yeah.
Okay, so tell me a bit about your steps between learning the instrument and then actually getting the equipment together to begin writing. Were you looking for other bands to play with? Were you participating in like other lineups, or was it always the intention to do this project?
Well, originally, I like I said, I was being classically trained, and then I stopped that because I kind of realized that if I kept playing music that, like sheet music and reading music and just doing that, I was going to lose my own ability to create something completely from scratch. I didn't want everything to be influenced by what I was learning from. So then I dropped that and just started playing by ear as much as I could. But then as far as getting into other bands, there was a few here and there. And then I was in a project for quite a bit, for about 6 years. And that's where I really got to kind of explore playing live and whatnot. So I was really grateful for that. But I think, yeah, at the end of the day, the goal was to get to this point and create something completely my own. So that's where I'm at today.
Okay, so tell me about the beginning points of this project then. You mentioned that you wanted to do things where you could kind of just write creatively and kind of impulsively. Um, so, how did you begin to kind of conceptualize and then put this project together?
It was while I was with the other band that was Moonlit Mushroom. On the side, when we weren't doing gigs or anything like that, I was plunking around and starting to kind of create the foundations of what I have now. And then one day, I literally, not too long ago, I think it was not even a year ago, I sat down and I like completed this track and I was like, holy shit, I did it. Okay, like this is really cool. And then it's started just snowballing from there. And I was just writing and coming up with these tracks and learning as I went, like mixing and this and that. It became a very serious thing. And even before I had a lot of my tracks ready, somebody had reached out to me. Um, Josh from Color in Reverse and was like, "Hey, we'd love to have you play a show with us." And that was my first show with my project. So I was like, "Oh crap! Okay, I got to get my shit together." And then it's been blossoming since then. So yeah, it kind of happened a lot sooner than I thought it would, if that makes sense.
Are you still kind of in the writing phase where you're putting together like an album, or do you already
I'm
have material out there?
I'm about 90% finished with the album that I'm going to be releasing March 7th. So, yeah, I just have a few more tweaks to do. I'm actually going back and redoing some things specifically for the album. Some tracks that I've already released there's going to be some differences, a little bit more added to them. So this album is going to be really fun. And it's taken a lot of my sweat and blood, that's for sure.
Awesome. So tell me about what you kind of want for this project. Where do you want to see it go? Do you imagine it as you being like a solo singer songwriter and then doing shows by yourself, or do you want like a larger lineup for it? What's the ambition and where do you want to see it go?
As far as being a solo artist, I don't really want necessarily to always be a solo artist. I would love to have other musicians on board and creating, in the same realm that I'm in right now. Especially live. I don't want everything to be backing tracks. I would love, for an actual live element with drums, bass, guitar, even if it's not stuff that has been tracked and on an album live, I would love to have like that kind of different kind of kick to it, So it would be something new every time, that I kind of like the idea of doing that. But yeah, definitely the goal is to get more people involved in this project, 100%.
Okay. And then 5, 10 years down the line, what are your hopes for the project? Like where do you want to see yourself as a musician?
You know, I don't really have to, well, I guess I just want to kind of make some sort of impact, whether it be locally, all over. I would love for people to, one of my other goals is to maybe be doing soundtrack work, people to hear the music that I'm making and go, holy shit, that'd be great. And like, this new Stranger Things-esque type of, TV series or something. Like that's one of my kind of like when I look to the future, that's kind of what I'm hoping would happen. Do I care about popularity or anything like that? Not necessarily. Like what I got really excited about is when I looked through my distribution stuff, like somebody in the Netherlands is just eating my shit up. Like he or she is just loving it. And I'm like, that's cool. Netherlands? Like, okay.
Yeah, that's
So, I
great.
mean, like, that's kind of like that. That's what gets me all warm and tingly is when I'm stuff like that, like, and yeah, like I said, it would be really cool to be noticed by, um, people that are looking to score different TV series or in the sci-fi fantasy realm. Like that would be awesome. I'd be very happy with that.
Okay. I think, all of that is attainable. All you got to do is just hit the right call sheets and things like that and then throw pieces
Right,
out.
which I suck at. I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
I'll create the music, but as far as marketing and stuff like that goes, I don't know. I know more about the bottom of my foot.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that musicians are learning a lot right now is that they also have to be social media managers on top of being, really good musicians as well. And it's a hard balance because there's a weird duality there.
Yeah.
Like almost by nature, musicians don't want to be, self-promoting like that. But yeah,
Oh my gosh, I wish I had the money to just pay somebody like just to have like an assistant be like, all right, here, market.
Right.
I could just sit back and watch.
All right. Well, so what are some things that have happened to you throughout your life surrounding music that have really kind of kept you honed in and want to continue to make music and be a part of it?
Music is probably has always been the number one driving thing to me in life. Like it's always been the first thing I noticed, whether it be in film, whether it be in daily life. I've since I was little, I'm one of those people that has a song going in their head constantly. Music is just, that's it. And um, I never like I said, if I were to, go back in time to 15, 20 years ago and look into the future and see myself playing my own music like this on like, at a few different venues, be on Spotify, whatever, blah, 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 I'd have been like, holy shit, that's awesome. So I guess, being able to use something that's so important to me, music, to just be able to do something with it that is, out of the house and involved in, and other people listening to it, other people's lives, etc. That to me is just really cool. Do I care if it makes me money or anything like that? No, it's just the fact that I'm putting it out there and it's being seen or heard is so cool to me. So I'm still blown away, still very amazed that has kind of been happening lately. So
Yeah, that's great. On that note, where can people find it and continue to listen to it and then check out when you're doing shows and stuff?
So pretty much all major music platforms, my tracks have been distributed, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, all that stuff. And right now, the next show that I have tentatively, or not tentatively, but for sure have is March 7th at the Red Sea. I'll be having my album release, and some really, really good bands are going to be on that lineup too. We got Speakeasy, Color in Reverse, Mock Fox, North Innsbruck. Yeah, it's gonna be a great show. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, Mock Fox is good. I've interviewed him before and I've played a couple shows with him. He's a good guy.
Yeah, same. No, we've worked together before, and yeah, this just everybody on that lineup they're super fun people, and it's gonna be like it's gonna be a surreal show, that's for sure. Oh, and not Twice Dark. They're from Indiana. They're gonna be on the bill too. I had that finalized not too long ago, and they're just super cool, kind of dark wave, industrial, synthwavy. Like they're awesome. So yeah, that's going to be a treat to have them on the bill.
For sure. All right. Well, so I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out their last word. So what's a message that you have that you want other people to hear?
Just whatever it is that you like to do, whatever kind of sound you like to make, whatever that is, just focus on that and put it out there and don't care about what's popular, what you think other people might like to hear, yada, yada. It is so much more fulfilling to put music that is 100% just what you want it to be out there. And whether 5 people or 5,000 people like it, it doesn't matter. That is so much more fulfilling than if you were to just make something that would be popular and put that out there. Like, just don't listen to everybody else. Just do what you want, put it out there.